Morning, seventh grade team. All right, I'm going to do the lesson plan rows for this week via video, so you can see what I'm talking about. I've given you some examples. Thank you, first of all, for getting the small group structure going. Looks good. Yes, this week was definitely an improvement lesson plan wise than the week before, so that was good. Just remember, there are more people than me reading this. So yesterday I was able to come and talk to Ms. Duty about what y'all's plan was to really understand where you were trying to go, but nobody else is going to be able to do that. So I want to show you how I would like you to turn around the small groups within the plan so it's what everybody's looking for. That way when they come in and they're reading them, there won't be questions, because I had a lot of questions about what you were trying to do simply because the way it was presented. And then once I understood what you were trying to do, it made total sense. So I don't want that to get missed just because of a presentation that's difficult to read. So please also remember, Ms. Duty, I think, is the only one that may have walked this as well. Second year F campus, we're going to have people all over us looking at our plans. Literacy is going to be the lowest. So anything we can do to just mitigate the fact that we know they're coming, we know they're looking at us, we know they're looking for what we're going to be doing, that's going to help us save time from having people, being in our classroom and questioning and a whole bunch of stuff. So let's be as clean and clear as we can. All right, so I've started writing this based on what you're doing this week. So the thing that I saw that Ms. Duty explained that y'all were doing this week was that there's differentiation in your small groups between your intervention and your extension, but that wasn't really clear on your plan. So if I was looking to write this plan again, I'm not asking you to write it again. For next week, look at how you're writing your small group structure in. I would go back and I would start with my groups, my clear groups. So notice what needs to be in the plan. So say I'm doing 2 intervention groups on inference. I'm going to do group A and group B. So starting with the conceptual misunderstanding, be clear of exactly what you're reteaching. So students are not making correct inferences based on textual evidence. Misconceptions include failure to read passage and questions carefully, failure to count evidence, and lack of comprehension. So those things that you document when you're looking at your data, those go in the conceptual misunderstanding. What was the problem? Then notice where it says students. It doesn't say what the students are doing, you're telling them what students are going to be. So this is where you're actually saying, okay, so I've already pulled my data, and these are the kids that are going in here. So John, Mary, and Sam are group A, Joe, Alicia, and Beth are group B. And in this case, because the tables are going to be differentiated, I put students who failed or approached expectations. So it's very clear who's going there. Then your objective. Students will make inferences and defend their inference with text evidence. Great, that's what they're doing. Activity, if it's an intervention table, it's going to continue to be a mental model. That's just the standard practice. So teacher will mental model one inference task card, then show students multiple star question stems that could ask for the same inference in different ways. Teacher will then use questioning to guide a think aloud as students work through a second task card and answer the question with evidence. Success criteria. Success criteria needs to be measurable. It's your exit ticket for how they're leaving the table. In this case, their exit ticket is their second task card. So students will know they are successful if together they can correctly answer the second question and cite their evidence. What am I measuring? Did they answer it correctly? Did they cite their evidence? If they check those 2 boxes, then they're good to go. It is measurable. So that would be Monday. I'm only putting that part on Monday because that's the only day I'm teaching that intervention group. Then Tuesday, I'm getting ready to teach the extension. So in this case, the extension would be for on-level readers. So this would be Team C, Molly, Mary, and May, students who met expectation. So students will individually answer an inference task card at a higher reading level, Lexile 1020. After identifying their answer and marking their evidence, students will debate their answer and evidence with the table. Teacher will guide the debate and reinforce correct understanding as students debate. Okay, there's no conceptual misunderstanding because these are students that you're pushing. It's an extension. The objective is exactly the same. And then the success criteria, students will know they are successful if they can successfully defend the correct answer using text evidence to their peers. Is it measurable? Were they able to mount a defense? And did they do it using text evidence? Yes, that is measurable. So that's Tuesday. But Tuesday, that's not my only group. I have a completely different group that I'm pulling as well. So my second table on Tuesday groups D, are my master level students, my above level readers. So Ms. Duty asked, what would I do if the kids that are already doing the high level reading, I'm already pulling the 1020 and they're knocking it out of the park. What do I do then? Okay, so what's the highest level? Creation. So this extension would be, again, on Tuesday for your really high group. Students will write a paragraph with evidence intended to guide the reader to an inference. They will then create an inference question for their paragraph using a star stem. Peers will answer each other's question and judge the evidence presented in the text on its helping in coming to a correct inference. So you're having them create the paragraph, you're having them then write using the star stems, you're having them answer each other's questions, and then judge them, the evidence for if it was clear. Did they actually embed the things needed for an inference? That's the highest level that they can turn around that skill. So then I got Team D, Dan, Daryl, and Denise, the kids who mastered. Objective, students will create a paragraph with evidence that will help their reader make an inference. And success criteria, they will know they are successful when a peer can answer the inference question based on the evidence provided. So that's also measurable and checkable. Were they able to get to that level of thinking? So that would be Monday's group are the 2 interventions, and then Tuesday's group are the 2 extensions. Okay, what should always be in there is your comprehension clubs, and that should take 2 days. Now you'll notice on this one, because this was in the format that I had provided, I've got 4 different days, 1 for each novel, but it's the same because in this case we're just asking about text structure and author's purpose for vocabulary. Sorry, author's purpose for text structure and vocabulary. So everybody's doing that. They're just looking at the mentor text, and you're guiding them, and they're doing it for their own text. So that's all the same. If it's like this and it's all the same, you don't have to put it all 4 days. You can simply say, I will have these 4 groups of students. You know, student 1 will be the students reading this novel, group 2 will be the students reading this novel, group 3, and then you don't have to write it 4 times. I was just copying and pasting because this was what I'd given you guys. So that's up to you. If you're doing 4 different questions, then you would need to put it, you know, in the 4 categories like this, 1 for each novel group. So what's the activity? Teacher will mental model analysis of text structure and vocabulary with a mentor text. So you're using the little book, the Teacher Talk book, to model how the author is including text structure and specific vocabulary for a purpose. I just taught this lesson in Mr. Rocchio's class with one of the 8th grade teacher model books, so I know that this is one of the things that they're including. So it was using repetition of the word together to set up a point, and then it was using compare and contrast to introduce the text. So we walked through those. Then teacher will use guided questioning, and students will work together, because you've got all of them that read the same book, to write an analytical response applying the same skills to their self-selected text. So once I've used the first 10 minutes to walk them through the mental model of what that looks like, then they're going to go back and have a conversation, write a couple of sentences. It doesn't have to be a long analytical response where they're doing that with their own novel. And for those 4 teacher tables, so this would be all of Wednesday and all of Thursday, that's what you're working with your kids. Okay, so Thursday I'm going to copy and paste from above. Not every day, but the 2 days to which it applies. Then Friday would be writing remediation. So what's the misunderstanding? Students are not writing with appropriate imagery. In this case, I'm doing imagery, but I've got 2 groups that go a different way. In group A, students are overwriting imagery. In B, students are struggling to include imagery based on description in their writing. So you could do 2 different interventions for Friday, boxes for Friday, and do 1 in each box. You could simply differentiate in your box how you're approaching the same skill from 2 ways. This is a different way than we did on Tuesday. On Tuesday, again, you're doing the same skill, but I showed you in 2 boxes. On Friday, I'm showing how you can put it in 1 box instead of 2 and just differentiate within the box. Same thing, just 2 different ways of doing it. Your choice. So again, I've got the students broken down. Objective, students will revise their personal narrative using 1 to 2 short descriptions with imagery. That's very measurable. How do you know they're successful? They were able to revise their imagery for 1 to 2 short descriptions. Okay, then I do, again, teacher will mental model effective use of imagery with a mentor text. You would have prepared the mentor text and rewritten it, so the mentor text is what it should look like, but then you're also showing them 2 examples of what they've done. So one would be where you've rewritten the mentor text to copy a kid who's writing with too much flowery language, and one would be a mentor text where you pulled out the imagery, so you're missing what it adds to the text. Then we do, students will revise their papers with teacher guidance to correct their overabundance or lack of imagery. And success criteria, students will know they are successful if the imagery usage within their paper increases 1 point on their personal narrative rubric. That's extremely measurable. You know you're writing with a rubric. If after doing this, they can check off the I in the revise the 5 box, excellent. They've done it. They've gone up from a 1 to a 2 or a 2 to a 3 or a 3 to 4. That's extremely measurable. I'm going to make sure and send this to you guys so you can see the example, but this is what we're wanting to see in small groups. So I'm hoping that helps give some clarity on what it should look like. Again, every week you should have 2 days that are your 4 teacher tables for comprehension club. You have 1 day that's your intervention. If you choose to take that intervention to a differentiated extension level, that'll be your 2nd day. Okay? But if you do that, you don't have time to do writers' conferences. So you're going to have to do either 1 day of intervention based on the TEAP and then 2 days of writers' conference with every student, or you can do 2 days based on the TEAP with intervention and extension, and then 1 day of writing intervention with just the low kids who need to come up or the kids who need to correct something. But those are going to be the tables that you hit throughout the week. So you need to be pulling those 10 tables. Okay? I also understand from Duty that because one way that you may be doing small groups is doing less kids, it may take more time to turn around. Then priority is comprehension club. See all your kids for comprehension club, and then the interventions. Interventions are the next one. So see the kids that need to have intervention. Okay? If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.